Okay, so in this lesson of the tutorial, I'm going to show you how to basically break down facial geometry so that we go ahead and model it correctly, or learn to model it correctly. Um, every face is typically the same type of structure, and it's typically broken down the same way. And the key is you really want to do it and model it correctly so that whenever it comes time for animation, that the mesh takes and deforms properly, and it's not going to have any topological errors in terms of deformational problems. And so the way to model faces properly here is I'm going to mask it out in Photoshop, and that I'll show you an example inside of Maya and an example inside of ZBrush of how I properly model faces. So let's mask it out here in Photoshop. And the way that you need to basically look at a face is it consists of many different circles. Just depending on how the overall shape of the face is, it's just many different circles. So first off, you have to have circles around the eyes. This is important for it to definitely deform properly. And let's see if I can just try and mask this out properly here. I'm just going to draw on the front part of the face for a lot of it, and the side here for some of it. So as you can see, we have circles around a circle around our eyes, but there also has to be an inner circle here, and that's just depending on how your topology is going to be laid out. For our mouth is pretty much going to be similar. Similar to the eye. Same with our cheekbones here. You can pretty much, let's say, get away with not using a circle on the cheekbone. But the general idea is you want to have nice laid out topology. And as you can see, it would all tie in perfectly there. Even on the ear here, you generally would have to have a rather large circle on the outside of the ear, and then you would take care of the inner shapes here on the rest of the ear. And it would all pretty much, if you do it correctly, it would all tie in inside of Maya without any real issue. And if we take a look at a practical example here inside of Maya, you can see that those shapes really do well. Even though this is a cartoon head, and typically it's oops, open ZBrush there. And if we take a look at our practical example inside of Maya here, you can see that our circles are still laid out in our geometric places where they do need more detail, and they really do cover basically where our eyes, nose, ears, and even our chin, and in this case our neck indents are. This is I don't want to say hard inside of Maya. To do this inside of Maya, it's going to take a little bit of time. It is possible, but for me personally, I tend to do all my head sculpting and head creation inside of ZBrush. And this is because with ZBrush, it's much faster to go ahead and create the geometric shapes that you need, and then you can simply just export the geometry out of ZBrush back into Maya to go ahead and just trace over. And I'm going to show you a example of this head sculpt from initial low-res base to what I eventually have here. So let me go ahead and load the tool here, and that's why I actually loaded ZBrush and sort of blocked it out there. And you can see how low our geometry pretty much is inside of ZBrush for our initial base topology. And it's really just, you know, one box that I applied a smooth control to, and or smooth node to, and simply just, you know, started sculpting on. And then eventually you can see where it's going to turn into our face. And this was our overall end result for our head. But as you can see, even without, you know, seeing the wires inside of Maya, you can see honestly where those circular shapes would have to actually be. It obviously has to be around the eyes and the mouth and the chin, for example, because, you know, this is a more rounded face and not more square in terms of cartoony style. This is more of a I would say a more natural face. But right off the bat, you can see where, you know, that geometric breakdown has to really come in handy, because you would have to, you know, learn to trace around the eyes properly, trace around the nose properly, the mouth and the chin and the neck. And this way the mesh will deform properly whenever it comes to animation. In the next lesson, just keep your eye out and have fun watching. Thanks.